All right, y'all. We finna get into the timeline of Trump and Epstein sex trafficking. Let's go.
He and his administration keep acting like they've got something to hide.
The Epstein case has many details and open questions. Our timeline today focuses on the key facts and developments, starting in March 2005, when local police in Palm Beach, Florida, began a probe into Epstein, investigating reports of abusing victims as young as 14. The local case led to Epstein's indictment for a single count of soliciting prostitution in 2006, not the more serious alleged conduct. In fact, the lead detective in the Palm Beach office referred the case to the FBI to look at the more serious crimes, and those federal investigators began probing allegations. In 2008, Epstein reached a deal with the Bush administration's federal prosecutors to take that local Florida conviction.
So y'all see how far back this shit go? It go all the way back to the Bush administration. They know what I'm saying. This dude got caught with a 14-year-old girl, and all they did give him a prostitution charge, and he did a year in prison. And then during that year, he was getting out 12 hours a fucking goddamn day, so he was still doing what the fuck he wanted to do. Come on, man. Just because this dude, hey, this shit been going on a long time, y'all. We finna see.
Conviction for soliciting prostitution with an adult and a minor. Epstein got a lenient, short prison sentence and an unusual agreement that the Bush DOJ would not prosecute Epstein further, or four of his co-conspirators, or any others. Bush DOJ prosecutors also agreed to keep the deal secret and not inform Epstein's victims about it. A judge later found the Bush DOJ's secrecy deal was illegal, violating those victims' rights. So the facts show from the start, Epstein got.
So how the hell, all the way back then, Epstein must have had something on motherfuckers all the way back then. He got off with that sweet ass deal. He was rich and everything, but still, for him to get that sweet ass deal from DOJ, he knew somebody. He was already kicking it with Trump, but Trump wasn't president. But what about Bush, Bill Clinton?
Got this unusual protection from the government in this period, a Republican administration, Bush. And Epstein was a rich, powerful figure. He had ties to people in business and politics. He hired a Republican-connected lawyer, former independent counsel Ken Starr, and served just 1 year in that deal. Now, another 9 years went by, and then the Miami Herald reported an Epstein expose on the allegations of his conduct and that Bush-era prosecutor who cut the sweetheart deal. That investigative report gained traction, partly because of a tie to Trump, who promoted the very prosecutor, Alex Acosta, to his cabinet. The headline at the time hammering how a now Trump official gave a serial sex abuser the deal.
Yeah, this the dude that gave Epstein the first deal. This scumbag ass motherfucker here. If you wouldn't have gave him that first deal and put his ass away, a lot of motherfucking girls wouldn't be hurt today. Punk ass.
Of a lifetime. And that public pressure from the Herald drove a new federal probe. Internal DOJ reviews would show Acosta had poor judgment in the case, and that the blanket immunity offers for Epstein and others were just indefensible, leading to a fairly swift federal indictment of Epstein on far more serious sex trafficking charges. And the pressure drove the original prosecutor Trump had promoted, Acosta, to resign around this time. And in a key decision, a judge denied Epstein bail, forcing him to be incarcerated before any trial. It was just over a month later, August 2019, when Epstein was found dead in his cell. The situation was suspicious. Officials there broke several protocols. Epstein was
Okay. That's another thing I don't understand. Y'all knew he was on suicide watch. Y'all lifted that shit. And then the people who was supposed to be watching him, you know what I'm saying, because he's a high profile, you know what I'm saying, high profile, they wasn't watching him. And then all of a sudden the cameras went out. Y'all ain't got no good footage of it. that kind of smell fishy to me. I don't know how it is with y'all, but it smells fishy to me. What the fuck going on?
Was a high-profile detainee. He'd been placed on suicide watch, which was then quickly lifted. Guards failed to do required inspections the very night of his death. And a lot of questions were hanging over all of this. So let's go even further ahead, all the way up to 2019 and what happened after that. Because key videos went missing. Trump Attorney General Barr even admitting the prison made mistakes then, but claiming that he personally reviewed prison video which showed no one entering the cell. And with Epstein dead, prosecutors turned to a co-conspirator who might have benefited from that original Florida case being shut down, what I told you about. They went ahead and indicted Ghislaine Maxwell for helping Epstein's sex trafficking, a case brought by a career prosecutor, Maureen Comey, daughter of former FBI Director Comey. And her work continued on when the Biden administration took over. She won Maxwell's conviction and this 20-year prison sentence. Then, during the 2024 campaign, the questions and theories about Epstein's crimes and special treatment were heating up on the right. It was a problem for Trump, given that he promoted the original prosecutor, that he oversaw the DOJ, which failed to answer questions or have transparency about whatever happened in that prison cell. So Trump tried to go on offense, vowing to declassify and release Epstein's files. And his attorney general took over that message and advanced it in office, now infamously claiming that she...
Hey, that's how dumb Trump ass is. He knowing he in the motherfucking files. He know that shit. And he gonna sit here and tell y'all he gonna release the files just, to get in the office. You know what I'm saying? Just a lie to get in the office. And then when he get in that motherfucker, what he gonna do? Oh, ain't nothing to see here. Nothing, because he know he was in there. And now they lying for him. Check it, man. Come on, y'all.
She had the client list on her desk, which she later contradicted because shortly after, the DOJ released an alternate video from the prison. But the key video that shows Epstein's cell door is either lost or hidden. It's never been released. And Bondi released the now infamous memo that said they wouldn't provide any other Epstein documents. So Bondi went from saying there was a client list to there wasn't. She was lying then or lying now. The DOJ memo then said there was no other Epstein info that was going to be released, which ignited that firestorm of criticism we all lived through. And given the broken vows, that couldn't hold. Trump soon contradicted his own DOJ's memo and saying he would try to get grand jury material released, but those are limited transcripts. A lot of the big Epstein information is in the Trump DOJ. They could release it anytime. One judge has denied this. And as the Trump administration's contradicting claims drew more heat on its secrecy, the DOJ then sent this former Trump criminal defense attorney to interview Maxwell in prison and then transferred her to a better prison, an apparent reward.
Yeah, and let's get this something straight, y'all. This defense attorney that they sent to her is friend with her attorney. So they party together. They kicked it together. You know what I'm saying? They friends. So yeah, that's how she got that deal. She got a better deal to go to mass security, and then she, you know what I'm saying, she gonna lie and do whatever to get out of jail. And just Trump gonna pardon her or do something, you know what I'm saying? It's gonna be some bullshit in the game. You know what I'm talking about. But yeah, these guys was buddy. And now she's in a minimum security prison. All right.
For the one person doing any time for Epstein's indicted federal crimes. In July, Trump's DOJ also fired the top prosecutor who won the case against Maxwell, Comey, an unusual ousting of a career prosecutor with no public explanation. So what does this timeline show? That Epstein got help and special treatment and sometimes unlawful benefits from the very federal government that claimed to be investigating him. It happened under the Bush administration, with officials later promoted by Trump. The Trump DOJ only picked up the case in the first term after journalists reported those revelations. Epstein's unusual death met with total secrecy by the first Trump term, and the prosecutor who busted Epstein's co-conspirator ousted in the second term, while Trump and other officials made false, sometimes knowingly false statements about this public history. This is a damning account of President Trump's approach to this case in government. Now, this is a serious governing problem for President Trump and the DOJ and obviously the impacted victims. Even if we learn nothing else about this, it's an open scandal for this administration. And then there are the glaring and inconvenient facts that go back even further before Trump was in government, before the lengthy timeline.
Here we go, y'all. This goes to show that even before Trump even took office, he already knew Epstein was a fucking pedophile. That 14-year-old case was already out there and everything else. You know what I'm saying? Before he even took office. And he was still having him in Mar-a-Lago, still kicking him with him. You know, still having him around little girls. And he knew that he was, trafficking girls at his Mar-a-Lago. Because he said he's stealing girls and all this. He knew. So it's something more to this, y'all.
Timeline we just saw, because as a civilian, Trump had a long relationship with Epstein, who had bought property near Mar-a-Lago, socializing with Trump, engaging in activities, and both men then referring to Epstein's sexual controversies. The two men partied together. They appeared in public and before cameras. This is footage from a Mar-a-Lago event in 1992. Epstein went to Trump's wedding in 1993. And while Trump famously likes his own jet with Trump branding, he found the time and reasons to fly on Epstein's private jet at least 7 times, per the New York Times. Trump photographed with both Epstein and Maxwell in 2000, again at Mar-a-Lago. And the Journal reported about how Trump drew those bawdy sexual references in a birthday card for Epstein, citing, quote, wonderful secrets. Trump denies this and is suing the Journal over it. He now claims his Epstein friendship was shorter than reported, that they clashed over an employee Epstein had poached from Mar-a-Lago. While other
Let me see how he gonna lie. It was shorter than reported. Man, let's all with 1992. Y'all was fucking kicking it. And you know what I'm saying? I know y'all was kicking it before then, because you know what I'm saying? You ain't just started kicking it with that man in 1992, then 1993. He your best, you know what I'm saying? And he at your wedding and shit. You know what I'm saying? You gotta be kicking with a motherfucker. You gotta know a motherfucker a couple of years before you gonna fight him to your goddamn wedding. You know what I'm saying? So y'all were knowing each other even before 1992.
Other accounts say Epstein was a Mar-a-Lago member until 2007, over a year after that original indictment we showed you. Trump breaking the vow to release more Epstein files, but he's also in them, according to recent Journal reporting. And as for Epstein, he was secretive about any time that the two men might have spent with minors when pressed under oath.
You ever socialized with Donald Trump in the presence of females under the age of 18?
Though I'd like to answer that question, at least today, I'm going to have to assert my 5th, 6th, and 14th Amendment rights, sir.
Legally, these social...
This motherfucker, instead of just saying, no, that's just how you know something is in it. It's something. He knew something. Instead of just saying, no, I'm going to vote my 5th. Man, he's like 3 goddamn amendments this motherfucker said he going to vote. You know what I'm saying? All you got to do is just say, I'm going to do the 5th, but this motherfucker, I'm going to do all this. That motherfucker, he guilty as hell. You know he was guilty. But what about Trump? Mm-hmm. That motherfucker in that shit too.
Social links alone are not evidence of a crime. They are evidence of a conflict of interest, the kind of link that requires a judge or prosecutor to recuse from a case. But Trump has been doing the opposite, commenting and intervening, his DOJ's actions on Epstein repeatedly putting secrecy over facts, politics over accountability, and, as we saw, a special transfer and leniency for an actual sex trafficker over justice for the victims. There has been a lot of talk about Epstein, and at the core, this is a case that matters so much to the many people, many victims whose lives were forever altered by Epstein and Maxwell. But you don't need even more Epstein documents, though people are pursuing them, or more facts to understand the raw outline of this case. Some of it predates Trump, with Bush-era prosecutors cutting a deal with a powerful person and cutting out the victims from even learning about it. But much of it involves Trump, from the personal social links to a government that he is overseeing, that after all of the talk and claims for justice and demands for truth in this sex trafficking case, the big thing the Trump administration has done is continue the secrecy, continue to cut the victims out, and most astoundingly, help and serve an Epstein sex trafficking co-conspirator over truth or justice for the victims.
We're going to leave it right there, y'all. As you see, the timeline ain't fucking adding up. Trump said he barely knew the dude. As soon as he found out he was messing around, he threw him out. Man, that man been knowing that man since 1992. He was still messing with the man when he's, you know what I'm saying, right before he got locked up. So he knew what was going on. Y'all were best buddies. You know what I'm saying? You ain't gonna invite this man to your wedding if you ain't best buddies. So you knew what was going on. And you still was hanging around. Birds of a feather flock together. I'm out. Peace.